dinosaur of graphic design. I learned graphic design in the times where there were no computers. And so for me, graphic design is really the education of the eye. We learned how to look at things. It's not at all a question of software, of knowing what buttons to push and how to do typeface, Photoshop, layout. I mean, all that is important. But all this is used in order to create and communicate with visuals. And behind the visuals, there is a message. And everything in the visual supports the message. So I will not show you today things done on very sophisticated equipment and software. I used Word, which everyone has and everyone uses. And I took, you know, we got from Greg Warburton the document. I don't know if you asked him for the documents to send you by mail, but I got his fast daily mental fitness training, which was 3 pages in Word. And I found it not very well designed and not very clear. And I wanted to take this document and show you how it can be improved. And by doing it, I think you will be able to learn some tips and tricks about how to improve your documents very much. So let me share. I will share the screen. Can you see my screen? Yeah, okay. So I entitled this short webinar, The #1 Secret of Good Graphic Design. And I will arrive to this secret a bit later. But let me first of all show you, if you haven't seen it, the before document. This is the document that Greg sent. And as you see, it is done on Word. It is very full. There is a lot of information. He tried to put things in bold and underline some things and put some color and even change the typeface. But I must say that even knowing what the content was, because I followed the sessions with Greg, I just couldn't understand really what was going on there. Now, can you read? Is it too small for you, or is it possible to read? Anyway, it's not really, the content is not as important for now as really the presentation. Now, this document had 3 pages. This is the first one. This is the second one. And there was a little bit going on the 3rd page with a place for some notes. I don't know if you see my cursor. Can you? Yeah, okay. Now, the first problem if I do some critics of this document, the first thing I I notice is that there is no branding. Greg has a website, he has a book, he has a Facebook page and a YouTube channel, and he had and on his website I found his logo, and I wondered why this page, which is something he shares with his students, is not branded like it should be. The other thing I found is that that was missing was you have 3 pages, you have no page numbers. So it's not a problem when it's showed on screen, but once you print it, it's really something that is good to consider because it really helps people. Now, people in general, they respond very well to information that is well laid out. This is something that really sells the document and attracts people. The more it's clear, the more it's well organized, the more people are attracted to reading. Here I feel, I don't know if you have the same impression, it's a bit difficult to go in. You don't really know where it starts. You don't really know if there is a structure, if it's divided into parts. And I had to read it and understand through the reading how it was structured. Now, here on the second page, there is also some color put on the text. I understood, seeing this, that it's important for him to see, for us to see it. There are different kind of titles. There's no real systems of titles. You don't know which title is more important. Sometimes it's underlined, sometimes it's in italics, sometimes it's bold. The organization of the whole information is not satisfying. Now, let me show you what I did. So let me tell you also a small detail now that I'm thinking of. The fact of underlying text. This is something that should be avoided. Even in Word or in a printed document, it is something that many people use, the underline the text, but nowadays people think that when it's underlined, it's a link. And even in a document of this kind, you have a tendency never to try and click on the underlined text to see if it brings somewhere else. And it's not the case, so it's frustrating, and people think that it's a mistake, or, well, it is something really to avoid. Now, there are lots of other ways in which you can make text more important without underlying. And I will show you in the version I did. Now, on the left, you have the original page, and on the right, there is the page I did with exactly the same text. I mean, I hardly changed the wording. The titles are the same, but after reading, I understood there were several parts, and I decided to number them in order to have really a structure in the document that allows us to follow this training one part after the other. So the first part, actually the numbers 1, 2, the big numbers here are the only thing I added. And also here, the title questions is something I added, even though there is a text starting with question you might try to get at. I said questions, and then I started with, you might try the following questions, just to be able to introduce a title and structure the text. Here in the second page, you can see on the left the before version, on the right the after version. And you can see that it's continuing. There is a part number 3, part number 4. I have a system which I created in order to pull out some important information that Greg wanted us to look at. And I actually found an information here in blue, which I put with a vertical line that is repeated every time in the part 3 and in the part 4. You see that in the part 2, there is also this system. In the part 1, there is none. But you can see now that the titles of each part is with exactly the same typeface, the same size. There is hierarchy in my document. There is the big title, which is blue with the biggest size type. The little titles are with a smaller size. And then there is the body, the text body, which is smaller, but has also little titles here, the step 1, step 2, step 3, that allow also to put hierarchy in the document. Now, you can see that I added Greg's logo on top. I just pulled it off his website and added it into the Word document. And something else I did, which is really something that I think it should be done always on a Word document in order to make it a bit different, is that I created a large space on the left. You see the page, the default setting of a Word document has very small margins on the right and the left. And the fact of making the margin on the left bigger makes it all of a sudden much more professional looking. Now, the third page, there is like a conclusion about EFT, a space for some notes, and some links below that I took from the document. As you see, the branding I did was only on the first page. I could have done it on the 3 pages, but I decided just to put the website on top, and I did not do the page numbers because I finally decided that it wasn't really useful, as there are only 3 pages and I have these big numbers that are here anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one. Now, what you can see, the difference between the before and after, there is a much bigger contrast between the elements. You see, there are big elements, there are small elements, and this contrast is very attractive to the eye. The before version is really very flat, contrast wise. Everything looks on the same level. This contrast between the different levels of the text is very important. Another thing that is new is this repetition of the elements I put in the first part, in the second part, in the third part. You see, there is something that is repeated every time, and this is very reassuring. When you discover a document, you know exactly what to find things. You have a title, you have a comment, you have the different levels of information. Another thing which is important here is the alignment of the elements. You see that everything is aligned on the left. You have a general alignment here, which is the alignment on the left. In the before document, you have some texts that are centered, some that are on the left. Here, the title is centered again. There is also something that is, I don't mean it's a mistake, but it's something that doesn't show a real decision about the style of the document. It's better to have, if the document is always aligned on the left, it should always be this way. You see the title is also aligned on the left, and the little introduction too. Now, once I have this line that structures the document, I can also play around with it. I put the big numbers outside this alignment. And here too, you see, you have this alignment which is on the left side of the column, but you have small elements that stick out and create the animation. In the before document, you have some bullet points. So sometimes it's just little dots. Sometimes it's a kind of a square with 4 dots. Sometimes there's no bullets. Here too, there's no repetition. The elements are not used again and again and they are not constant. Now, the last element that I added here is the fact that I grouped together the different parts. You have here the number one part, which is grouped together, and there is space between the first and the second. You can clearly see that this is one thing and this is another thing. In the before document, everything is just together in a big mass. Here I have, when I look at this document, I have 4 masses. I have the logo, the title and the introduction, number 1, number 2. Here I have number 3, a big space between the 2, number 4, etc. Now, let me arrive now to the famous secret that I promised. And the fact is that I already talked about the secret in this demonstration. Now, the secret of good graphic design, and I'm putting good here because the fact is that there is a lot of bad graphic design. This is how it is. I mean, everything, even very professional graphic designers can do very unprofessional work. So, but this is the secret. Now, the secret of graphic design is crap. What is crap? C is for contrast. R is for repetition. A is for alignment. And P is for proximity. Now here, if I go and look at the contrast in my example, you can see that there is real contrast between the sizes of the fonts. There are not more than 2 colors. In the before document, there were 3. There was black, there was blue, and there was red. I used only blue because I noticed on Greg's website that he used blue, and I thought it was enough to use only one color. But as you can see, there are lots of different levels of typeface, and even with 2 colors and using sizes and bold, italic, etc., you can do different levels of type. Now, the repetition of crap, we talked about contrast. Repetition is the fact of having always the same level of information put in the same style. This is really important because this is just something that is easy to read, easy to assimilate the information when you know how it looks and what to expect it to be. The alignment I talked before, we have here, all the text is aligned to the left. This is constant throughout the document. And the proximity is the fact of putting together different parts of the document, because when put in graphic design in general, when things go together, they should be close to each other. And once you cross, you go to something else, there should be a space. Now, this white space, which is between these two parts of the document, is really one of the secrets. It's the secret number 2 after crap. Secret number 2 is white space. And white space is really important. It is like silence in music. If you don't have white space in your documents, you have like a big noise. If you want to have something that is easy to read, you need to have to be able to breathe between parts of your documents, and then that's where you have to have some white space. It is not a waste of paper. It's really an important part of graphic design. And I'm sure that if you notice, starting from now, you look at documents that you find well designed, you will notice that there is a very good use of white space. Now, white space is not necessarily white. It's called white space because maybe very often on the white page it's white. But you can see, for instance, in my first title of that I prepared here, there is a lot of white space around it, which in this case is blue, but we call it, we graphic designers call it white space. It's the breathing area of a document, which is essential. So I'm afraid there is only 4 minutes left, but I think I said what I wanted to say. Do you have any question? Kate? Yes, I used only one font. I chose a font which is called Avenir Next, because it reminded me of the font that Greg used on his website. Now, in branding, this is very important to have one font that is used. It's better never to mix more than 2 fonts. Okay. If you are a professional graphic designer, you can mix also 10, but it's really not very easy to do. So it's for non-designers, I would suggest to keep 2, and if possible, only 1. And as you see, there are in a family of fonts, there are light fonts, medium, bold. There are a lot of possibilities, and using color also, it can have a rich variety of possibilities.
Thank you.
Okay, so about the repetition, Pascal, what is important is to have a system that is repeated again and again. If there is a level of title, it should come again. If there is a level, the title that is repeated is in the same level. For instance, the bullet points, always use the same bullet, not mix styles. This gives it a more professional look. do you have any other questions? Or any other things you would like to see?
That was an amazing transformation.
Yes, yes, very nice.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, well done, Danielle. Well presented.
Thank you.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, it was an awesome difference from before and after. And I would love if you could send me the the document with your. That would be so great.
Yeah.
And did you send it to Greg also?
Yeah,
Me
of course.
too.
I asked Greg. I asked for permission to do this. He said okay. Said he would be happy, and I sent it to him yesterday.
Cool.
I actually had some. Oh, it's going to end now. But anyway, I'll send it to you, no problem. I'll send you the before and after, and look at the details, and you can see the difference in all what I did. And,
lovely.
And
thank you very much, Daniela.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's very nice.
Well done.
Thank
What
you.
an example for us.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Hiring.
So see you soon.
Great.
See you next
call.
next call. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye. I'll send
Lovely.
you.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Lovely.
guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.